Hello and welcome to my first DIY video on this channel. Up until now, I've shared mostly podcast and empowerment content, but I've always loved home decor and DIYs. And between my boudoir studio and my home, I'm always decorating. So I'm excited to start sharing that side of my life with you too. This space will be a mix of cozy projects and podcast-style chats, and we'll see where it goes from there. But today, I'm starting out with two adorable fall DIYs, starting off with our pearl ghost art, and I'll walk you through exactly how I did it. Start off, you're going to need some sort of frame. I thrifted this one for $6. You're also going to need a piece of paper and some sort of material to go inside of your frame. I found this one at Michael's and I thought it looked really cool. I actually found it in the foam aisle. I'll link everything in the comments for you guys, but I liked this one because it had a lot of texture. I also used this mummy mesh that I found at Michael's. It was on sale, so I grabbed it, but you could also use cheesecloth. You're also going to want to grab some pearl stickers. You'll learn very shortly that I actually bought the wrong one, so I will link all the right ones for you. And then you're going to need some glue and permanent markers and tweezers to maneuver the pearls. I started off by trying to get this sticker off, and then I clued in halfway through that I didn't need to do that. I just needed to pop out the back of the frame, and that's what I did. I eyeballed the piece of foam to make it fit inside the frame, and I kept the glass and the backing behind it just in case I ever wanted to use it as a regular frame one day. And voila, there you have your frame. She's ready to decorate. Next, I took a piece of white paper and I just roughly traced the shape of a ghost. This way you can cut it out, see how big you want your ghost. And you'll see I started out with much too big of a ghost, and then I retraced it, drew a new one. And don't worry if your drawing is messy, we're not actually using it. We're just using it as a template for the mummy mesh. And you're going to cut out a piece of mesh roughly to the size of your ghost. Again, if it's a little messy, that's okay because you kind of want the edges to be frayed a little bit anyways. So I went outside of the lines and then I just glued her down to give me a base to work with before I attach the pearls. And before you start gluing them down, make sure you have enough pearls to go around. Now, when I bought these pearls, I thought they were individual stickers. However, I learned real quick that one of them was just a strand of pearls that I had to pull apart like you see me doing here. And then this one gave me a headache. It was one giant sticker sheet of pearls that came off in one pull. But thankfully I was able to salvage it, and I was able to rip the pearls off of the glue sticker sheet and attach my own glue. And it worked, but it was very monotonous and very time consuming, so I do not recommend doing it this way. If you can find individual pearl stickers, it will save you a lot of time. But basically I just went through and I rotated between the bigger pearls and the smaller pearls. I did get two sizes because I wanted it to look a little mismatched in sizes. I think it looks weird when they're all the same size. So by rotating the two sizes, I really liked the effect that it gave me. Looked a little bit more bubbly, and yeah, I don't know, I liked it. So I just tried to do the outer lining with more of the bigger pearls and focus the little ones to fill up the gaps in between. I then took a little moment to create the eyeballs. All I did for that was color in two of the bigger pearls with the black permanent marker and stuck them on. Also, I was unsure if I wanted to add a mouth, so I used a little piece of plastic from the pearls and I drew a mouth with the permanent marker and I held it on top to kind of visualize where the mouth would go. And that really helped me figure out what pearls I wanted to color in before actually committing to it. And that is pretty much it. Hindsight, I do wish I left a little more fabric on the outer edges, but I wanted to go for a little more unkept, messy style pearl design here. So yeah, if I were to have my time back, I would have kept the mummy mesh just a little bit longer on the outer edges of the ghost. But otherwise, I'm very happy with how she turned out. I think she looks adorable. Next up, we have the fabric ghost DIYs. These ones are a lot quicker and easier to do than the pearl ones. And all you need are a couple of thrifted frames. I did two different sizes. You're gonna need some construction paper or Bristol board, or I used these pieces of scrapbooking paper that I found at Michael's. And you're gonna need the mummy mesh again, or cheesecloth if you don't want to use the mummy mesh, and some scissors, some glue, and optional, but I used a little bit of dried baby's breath as a finishing touch for the ghost to hold. It's super simple. All you want to do is cut out your construction paper and fit it right into the frame to give you a backing to work with. And then once that's all done, you can begin constructing your fabric ghost. Then you're going to take either your mummy mesh or your cheesecloth, and you want to measure out the amount that you're going to need for your photo. I went a little bigger for mine, but you can go a little smaller if you'd rather have a little bit more space around the ghost. I also folded the mesh so it was a little bit thicker and I had a little more fabric to work with. Then you want to take your baby's breath and line it up where you want the ghost to be holding it. Get everything situated on the page where you want it, and then you're going to want to grab a needle and thread if you are somebody that knows how to sew. Thankfully, my grandma taught me well. I am a very good and quick sewer, but if you don't know how to sew, don't worry. You can just use glue. Either way, it'll work. I found sewing to be a little bit easier because it kept the ghost in place while I was gluing everything down. If you are using the needle and thread method, all you have to do is just pick up the ghost on the back side, give it a couple quick threads just to hold the back of it in place. You don't want the thread to come out the front, so be careful when you are sewing not to go too close to the front of the ghost. Just sew enough in the back that you're holding him together in his shape without seeing the thread from the other side. Once that's done, you just want to line him up on the page, and then you're going to take some glue and the baby's breath and glue everything in place. Now, when you are gluing, be very careful. Don't glue too much at the front of the ghost. You want it to look like material is just flowing and he's blowing in the wind. So focus your glue on the back of the ghost, and then you're going to want to pull at the edges of the mummy mesh or your cheesecloth just to make it a little more worn. I love the look of it kind of falling apart, so I just ripped the edges a little bit to fray it. And the last step is to glue the baby's breath in place. Make it look like he's holding it in his hand by taking a piece of the cheesecloth and kind of draping it over top and gluing everything down, and that's pretty much it. I went on to do pretty much the exact same thing for the bigger frame. However, with this frame, it was one of the old school vintage ones that you can't undo from the back, so no worries, problem solved. I eyeballed the width of the inside of the frame, and I just put the construction paper over top of the glass this time instead of putting it in the other way, and it still worked pretty good. And to keep everything in place, I use these double-sided adhesive tapes just to make sure nothing falls out without ruining the frame. And I'm just repeating everything that I did for the first frame, cutting out my mummy mesh, draping it together, molding it into the shape of my ghost, and then going in and sewing again. Now, if you're wondering how to tie the easiest knot when it comes to threading a needle, bam, so simple. Just twist it around your finger once and then squeeze your fingers together and drag them down, and you will automatically tie a knot from doing that. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, you pretty much twist it around your finger and you drag it down, and then it does a knot. And then to tie it up at the end, I'm showing you here, I just kind of loop it through that last little piece of thread, and then you pull it tight to make a knot, and then you cut her. I'm sorry, I'm not great at explaining how to sew. That's my own form of explaining it to you, but if you want to watch a visual video, I'm sure there's tons on YouTube. But yeah, I just did the exact same thing that I did with the other ghost, sewed it together, glued it down, glued the hand, and then with this ghost, I realized he was actually a little too long, so I trimmed him up a little bit just to make it a little bit shorter, and then I frayed the edges at the end as well to give that falling apart, frayed look that I love. And that is it for Mr. Fabric Ghost number 2. And that's a wrap on my first DIY video. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you want more of these kinds of videos, and let me know if you tried it. I would love to see how yours turned out. Tag me in your posts and stay a while because I have a lot of exciting things coming for this channel, and I can't wait to show you what I've been up to. So subscribe, hang out, and I'll see you in the next video.